All right, well, I think we can get started. Hi, my name is Anita Moore, and I am one of the preschool teachers.
Hi, I'm Purvis. I'm the other preschool teacher. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you so much for joining our session. We are going to go ahead and get started. We have a little presentation to share with you, and then we want to give you all some time to ask us questions about the program. So we will go ahead and get started. All right. Okay. All right. So, like I mentioned, my name is Anita Moore, and my assistant is Ronnie James. She's not here today, but she's with me every single day in the classroom.
And I'm Purvis, and I have Megan Lewis with me each day. So those are our two teams for our preschool classes.
I'm going to sorry, my dog out. She's whining. Sorry.
The joys from working from home.
All right. Okay. So, our curriculum is a whole child approach. And what that means is that when we are developing our curriculum, we are focusing on the child as a whole. So we aren't just focusing on skills for the next year. We're focusing on skills that are going to last them a lifetime. So for example, we focus on our milestones, the developmental milestones for a 3 and 4-year-old. So we will focus on their social and emotional well-being, their cognitive development, their language development, their physical development, and then also identity development. So as you heard Mrs. Fetter speaking about the 3 main ones, which are the social, emotional, physical, and cognitive, we also focus on the identity development. So every child feels valued, empowered, and a part of the community and the greater Key School community as well.
All right, this is a video that we want to share with you. It's entitled Defending the Early Years. It's really good.
It's kind of a miraculous thing. Children all over the world know how to play. Nobody teaches them. If you look at young children, you're going to see that they're playing. Anything that's that universal, like walking, talking, must be really essential for human development. Play is the place where children learn how to deal with real world things, where they can take control of them, where they can try things out, where they can see how they work. Those neurons are connecting and strengthening as children engage in the world. And much of the time, if you watch them in natural experience, they're playing. And in the process, as children get more developmentally advanced, they bring more and more sophisticated process into their play, and it's so important for optimal development. They're learning how to solve problems. They're doing all this naturally. It's extraordinary how much learning on the social and emotional plane is occurring.
You steal! I'm using it for the table. I want help! I want help!
Play is a very holistic thing. So sometimes we say, oh, we learn concepts, we learn social, emotional skills, but the truth is the whole child's engaged in play all the time. They are talking all the time, they're interacting, they're deciding together what they're going to build if it's in blocks, and they're building together. You learn things about gravity, you learn things about eye-hand coordination, you learn things about geometry. They're communicating about what they're doing and collaborating in the story. They're hearing each other's ideas and altering their own.
I'm gonna dump this whole thing out for you to make more cupcakes. So
it's that concrete hands-on experience where you try things, you see how they work, you make mistakes, you adjust your eye-hand coordination, and every child's going to do that in a different way.
They're thinking in original ways, they're inventing, they're creating. These are the capacities that we need as human beings.
That process they're going through, that learning to problem find and problem solve and being really good at it and getting the satisfaction of doing it, that's what they need to do to learn how to read.
Everything that they are going to need for later learning and success in school and life is getting established in the play process in the early years.
The better problem finders they are, the more engaged they're going to become in the world, the better learners they're going to be, and the better participants they're going to be.
it's whiteout time, okay? I gotta get out.
All right. So since we don't have an opportunity to be on campus right now, we really wanted to show you, hold on 1 minute. We wanted to show you some of our spaces. And a lot of our spaces are very similar to the ones that you just saw in that video, especially this year since we have COVID. We spend a lot of time outside. So one of our favorite places is the Magic Forest. This is a place where the children can explore, they can climb, they can focus on their fine motor skills, their gross motor skills. They discover, it's unbelievable how much they focus on the scientific process without us even saying anything. We do facilitate their play in the Magic Forest and in all areas of campus. But you'll see them classifying, you'll see them making observations, discovering, asking questions, collaborating, all in this one beautiful space. Also, like we mentioned earlier, that focusing on that gross motor development. We climb trees at Keys School, and it's part of problem solving and critical thinking. You have to figure out, where are you going to place your foot next, or what arm are you going to use to pull yourself up? So you're thinking a step ahead, which is part of the problem solving process. So this is one of our favorite areas of play. We go there at least 2 times a week. I wish I knew the name of this tree. I've been told the name of this tree before. Somebody here might know it, but it grows like sideways. So it is a beautiful tree to climb on. And, you know, we're always standing there to make sure that the children are taking safe risks. We do encourage safe risks. And part of the problem solving process is assisting them verbally on how to get down. We don't assist them to get down unless they're really, really stuck, but usually they're able, if they can get up, they can get down. They just have to problem solve on how to get down. And we might say, well, what if you turn your body this way? Or what if you put your foot on this limb? We encourage the problem solving process and assist and facilitate the children throughout their play as well. Another area on campus is the boatyard. There is a little boat, and after a rainy day, there's always mud and worms and all sorts of fun things that we can do in this area. There's a bridge. So sometimes the children will come up with stories, or they'll retell stories. This year, we read the Three Billy Goats Gruff. And when the children saw the bridge, then all of a sudden, the children turned into, one was a troll, and then other ones were the goats, and they started retelling the Three Billy Goats Gruff. So again, going back to that development of language and the literacy, like how it all ties in together. And then this is our playground, another really great area of play. We have swings, we have a garden, which this year we had pumpkins growing in the fall. There's rosemary. and there's also a lot of butterflies. So we're able to see how the transformation of, a monarch caterpillar form a chrysalis and then turn into a butterfly. There's a lot of milkweed there. And then that also led us to studying at one point during Day of the Dead, the monarch butterfly and the migration of the monarch butterfly to Mexico. So a lot of our curriculum is also emergent. So when we discover something, we take the students' interests and turn it into our curriculum as well, because everything is about them in the first school, and we just enhance and facilitate their learning. So these are our classrooms. This is Mrs. Purvis and Mrs. Lewis's classroom. There's always building blocks, dramatic play areas. There's also always room for messy materials. We also really focus on identity development. If you look back here, Mrs. Purvis has a good job of sharing some of our books. I Like Myself, Every Little Thing, We Are All Welcome, Skin Again. So we really focus on identity development and community building and making sure that the children feel valued, that they feel like they're a part of the community. So you'll often see a lot of pictures of the children in the classroom so that they know that this is their space and it's a safe space. This is a picture of my classroom. It's on the other side of the building. It's the same building blocks, dramatic play area, messy materials. And then I don't have the books displayed, but they are in the classroom. And we do read we do the same lessons. And right now it's a combination of we do them virtually and in person as well. And we have students joining us virtually from home while we're in the classroom too, which has been a new experience for all of us this year.
All right, I'll talk a little bit about our daily schedule. It's kind of the same, but then there's always room for flexibility and things to be different. So as the children are arriving, we have some things, some activities set out for them. And usually that's inside for that time. We have a morning meeting where we might sing songs and go over the lesson for the day or read stories. It's a lot of community building and time for us to be together and also to connect with our friends who are joining us from home. That's a good opportunity, at least for this year. So we're not sure what that means going forward, but that's what we've been doing for this year. And then we'll have a snack. Sometimes we have a snack inside. Sometimes we enjoy it outside. Then we have a good chunk of time to focus on indoor and outdoor exploration. That's when we're using those centers that are in the classroom. That's when we're exploring the campus and those great areas that Anita was talking about. That's our chance to really dive into our play, because that's the work of young children. So they have plenty of time for playing each day. Then we'll have lunch, and then that's kind of where our programming ends. We have a half day or a full day option. So at lunch, some friends go home, some stay for lunch and then rest time, and then go into dismissal. A lot of times parents ask, what can we do to help our child be successful? And just a couple ideas and things to think about is fostering independence. Let your child try getting dressed on their own, socks and shoes, buttons, zippers, coats. As the more they practice it, the more they'll be able to do it on their own. And that really gives them a sense of confidence when they're able to do those things on their own. Reading to your child each day. Anywhere, reading all day long, reading at breakfast, reading in the car, reading outside, reading in the bathtub. They just love to have stories, and to surround them with stories on a daily basis is so good for them. And then unstructured play. They just need to be, especially if you can be outside, it's so good for their minds and their bodies. Just let them go and, be with them and enjoy that time with them. And a good night's sleep is always important to help your child be successful, especially for a long day at school, because we are busy at school. So,
we're gonna take some time, a couple minutes to answer some questions. Feel free to just ask us whatever you'd like, anything specifically.
Hi, my name is Devin. We have and this is my wife Allison. We've got, you probably saw our almost 3-year-old Everett. Wondering about times. So it said nap and then dismissal. So does that mean how late does it go? Yeah, how late could we keep them there? Trying to just figure that out.
Anita, do you want to answer that? Because this year's a little bit
Sure.
different.
So this year it is a little bit different. In the past, we've always had aftercare. This year there is no aftercare option. So right now the children are being picked up at 2:45.
And prior to that, aftercare was what? Because we both
Till
are
5
out.
p.m. or 5:30. It used to be till 5 or 5:30. I think 5:30.
5:30.
Yeah. Any other questions? Well,
I guess
oh, go ahead.
I'm
No,
just
go ahead.
follow up and just ask, do many of the children do aftercare, or is it?
It varies. Allie, how many do you have staying right now?
Well, like for that rest period, I have, depending on the day, 6 or 7 out of 11 that are coming to school in person. So that's till that 2:45 time. And I'm not sure about that. I don't know if you meant till the 2:45 or if you meant till the 5:30 option. I wasn't sure.
Oh, just wondering, just generally,
Yeah.
a lot of people, opt for that. Or
I can try. I can try and take a stab. I'm Rosalind Calvin from the admission office. There is a half day and a full day option, is what Allie was referring to, the noon dismissal versus 2:45 dismissal. On normal years, I don't know specific numbers, but I would guess, it's less than half of the class that stays for that through till 5:30. But when we're not in COVID, they combine with other kids in other ages, just first school, but they'll be with, if they're 2 sections of preschool, then it'll be kids from both of those sections and Kiwi pre-K kindergarten. So they're not alone in any stretch of the imagination, but it's a lot of extra time for free play.
So sorry to, I've got more questions too. If he's turns 3 in December, does that make him the Kiwi, or is that the one above?
Yes.
I think
He turns
Kiwi.
3 this December.
Yeah.
So he'll be 3. So that would make him a preschool aged for next year.
Right. So so preschoolers have to have turned 3 by September 1st of that preschool year. If they turn 3 after September, for any of the 6 months after September, that would make them Kiwis.
how much time do they spend outside? Is it, sort of?
We try to encourage it as much as possible. It's obviously, especially more this year because of COVID, it is safer to be outdoors. But we actually this year we've purchased some really great like rain gear for them, the rain pants. So that way when they're falling in the water, which happens all the time, they're staying dry. And so there's this saying in like nature preschools that there's no such thing as bad weather, there's only bad clothing. So we try to keep them outside as long as possible. And they also need to burn energy. I have a 4-year-old right now. He's currently in my class. Normally he wouldn't be in my class, but because of COVID, he is in my class just for less cross-contamination. And they need to burn that energy, and they love to run and they collaborate, they're learning. And we have an amazing campus to do that outdoors. So why not use it? So, I mean, we spend probably close to 2 out of the 4 hours of the academic program in the morning outside. And then on nicer days, sometimes even longer. Sometimes we'll do lunch outside. Sometimes we'll do snack outside. And so we're hoping that as the winter months come, that we can continue to do that by encouraging, proper clothing. And honestly, sometimes it's harder for the teachers. The children are fine. It's the teachers that have a hard time staying outside all morning. But we try to be outside as much as possible.
And also, it's a shame that you can't see the campus, but our playground has actually won an award for its design, that it does have sort of areas we call it purposeful play. So there's a music area, there's a climbing area, there's a construction area, there's a garden area, sports area. So kids really kind of get to float between different spaces and work on, that, as we say, purposeful play, where they may see some other kids doing something and walk over and want to join in, and they're learning those collaborative skills, but also sort of getting a lot of diversity of activity.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you touch on a little bit about the traditional learning, like how to incorporate the writing and letter number recognitions and things like that?
So we do it through play. We start the school year off focusing, especially when you're talking about writing, on the fine motor skills. So for example, in order to be able to hold a pencil, you have to have the proper muscles to be able to hold a pencil. So we'll focus first on developing those fine motor skills through, for example, beading. So putting beads on a pipe cleaner to make necklaces or bracelets, working with Play-Doh. So before we even put a pencil in a child's hand, we need to make sure that they have the appropriate muscles to do that. Otherwise, the only thing that we're going to cause is frustration. And the last thing that we want to do, or that we believe in, is causing frustration before a child even has a pencil in his hand or her hand. So we make sure that the child has all the developmental milestones and skills before putting, now they color with crayons and markers, they paint. So they're getting used to using writing utensils, right? Or art utensils. But typically we start with handwriting and learning their letters mid-year of the preschool program. So in February, we'll start having them begin writing their name. Letters, we're always learning through just in a natural way. So if we see a letter, we recognize it. We also do have a phonics program called Letterland that we use. We start that in about October, and it takes us throughout the entire school year. And then math also in a very natural way. We're doing math every day. We're counting blocks. We're counting pine cones. We will collect acorns outside and bring them back to the classroom and classify them. How many have tops? How many are whole? So we do it through play, but we're doing it every single day. But we don't do worksheets. We don't believe in worksheets in the first school. So everything is very hands-on and through play. And I think Becky mentioned, and I think it's super important to also say that we shouldn't underestimate play, because so much happens through the child's engagement with other children. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add a piece to that too? As the parent of 4 key schoolers, right across the hall from me now is my son, who's a sophomore business engineering student at Lehigh University, who's home because of the pandemic. But he started at Key in preschool. And what I love about this continuum of young all the way through high school is that there's a lot of scaffolding that goes on in terms of the building of skills. But at that age when he started, my fear was that he would have learned to not enjoy school in a lot of other places, because he was the bull in the china shop who really had a lot of energy, and he was allowed to kind of follow his energy and learn through that, and not be at too young an age forced to sit still, crisscross applesauce, listen. Especially for boys, that's hard at 3 years old. So I think the school is great about sort of developing appropriate skills along the line. It doesn't mean that they're never going to have to learn to sort of be in a more structured environment, but it's done in a way that sort of builds at an age appropriate level, so that I now have a child who comes down to dinner out of class and can't wait to tell us about this cool stats problem he was working on. And it's, I think the expression of building lifelong learners, I am seeing it in my 4 kids. And that's the gold. Is I think there's a really nice balance of that purposeful play, but allowing kids to kind of come up with the problems themselves, struggle a little bit. There's guidance. It's not an anything goes kind of environment, but they have the freedom to really kind of explore their interest. Any other questions? Well, I don't know, Anita or Ali, if you have more to add.
Oh, Russ.
So you met Cheryl Martin briefly. She is the director of admission for the first school, and she would be your next point of contact for questions. I handle middle school primarily and help her out where I can when she's, especially when she's in financial aid season. So I'm certainly also happy to answer questions, but Cheryl can answer any questions if you have them. There will be more information coming out on our website, and we'll be sending emails. The other real, I think, value in the first school program is that your child is not just with the people that you see here, but there are specialists, and there's a science specialist and a music specialist and a PE specialist and library. And there are lots of sort of different people they're exposed to that gives them, sort of a whole community of support. So we'll be sharing more about that so that we don't keep you for 2 hours on this beautiful Saturday, but be looking for more of that. But we're here to help you get to know Key School. And it's especially, I know, challenging when you can't come and observe it. So all the more, please don't hesitate to reach out.
One more question. Is the application process open now?
It is open now. So
Okay.
yes, so you can go online to our website and click apply, and you'll complete a parent application, but it'll also walk you through the other pieces. And as Cheryl said, once you submit that application, that sort of alerts her to the fact that you're interested in jumping into the process, and she'll contact you to talk about next steps. We do request a reference, as she mentioned. If they're in any kind of a formalized program, that would be the obvious person to do a reference, but if not, just a little paragraph from someone that knows your child. And then also that observation that she talked about.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure. And all of that is in preparation, as she said, for enrolling starting in the fall of next year.
Well, thank you for taking the time to join us today. It is really an amazing, amazing place. We love it there, and the teachers are really happy, and that's always a good sign.